This is Creating Conversation. My name is Marquise. This is our group. Today's topic is racism, and I'm gonna just kick it off with, do you guys feel that racism still exists?
Can I go first?
By any means.
Everyone, you guys all want to do it together?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Yes.
Not only does it still exist, it will never not exist in America. This is what it was built on. So, of course not. It's a system. And they got good at it. They're really good at it because most of us don't even know that it is really this in depth. So, of course, it will still exist.
It's
and of
right
course,
in their face.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So how you feel about, like, are we still slaves, you think?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mentally, we're slaves.
Yeah.
We're slaves to these corporations. We're slaves to the system.
Brands, clothes.
Yeah.
I think we're slaves to more than that, just that too. Like if you think about last year when the Atlanta Hawks were having that controversy with their owners, they were talking about how their players, they had too many black players and too many black owners. So the white man didn't want to invest into it. You have to think about who are your professional athletes? Who are the mainstream ones? Who do they like? They target most. Marshawn Lynch doesn't want to speak to the media. There's a reason for that. You have all these people who are put in a stadium with who watches NFL the most? Americans. Nobody outside the U.S. pays attention to football like that. They make that sport and they put a lot of African Americans or minorities or whatever it is there. They give you an absurd amount of money to put on a show for them so that they can see what you're doing. They do the same thing with basketball, which, that's a little bit more popular in the Euro area, but it's not as popular as it is in the United States. You don't see them doing as much of that with soccer because soccer isn't branched out of America like all the other sports that we do.
I feel like a lot of owners are racist. They just haven't been exposed yet. Like Donald Sterling,
Yeah.
he was exposed.
Like the
think
guy
we found that
that
out
hated
this
on
year.
LeBron after he left. Did you read that letter that he wrote?
Miami owner. Yeah.
Shout out to LeBron for going back. You got more
Happy
balls
as
than
hell
me.
when he
I
came
couldn't
back,
did it.
huh? Yeah, for
I couldn't
real.
did it.
That's
But
crazy.
it's modern day slavery. These NFL players and stuff. Like, I know. Yeah, they living better than all of us because they're millionaires and stuff. But the mentality's the same. You working for the plantation. Not only, but it's not just NFL or NBA. It's everything. Every corporation. You know what I'm saying? This is the way. Yeah, this is the way.
It's just us in general. If you work a 9 to 5,
So that's kind of like this.
you're a
something
slave.
that where else do we see it? Like, what about like the main thing that no one wants to talk about? Police brutality. Like, where do you guys see racism in that one?
Man, it's
When has-
never changed.
It's never
changed.
It's always been an issue. The only reason why it's brought to the forefront now is because technology, people are recording it, and it's being, and you have to talk about it. Otherwise, before everybody had a cell phone, they weren't talking about it unless Rodney King happened, and somebody was just out there with a 18-pound camera, and they whooping that nigga down over there. Oh, and you seen what happened with that. So
Well, I was talking about it in the 60s too.
Oh yeah.
But more importantly, like, how can I phrase this? If I'm talking about slavery, like you said, $1 million slaves and athletes are $1 million slaves. But how do we end all of this? You know what I'm saying? We know this. Athletes even know that.
You got to stop buying into it.
It's all about the
How
mindset.
do we end this?
Just
I
like
don't think
how
it's
like
good.
it was
Good.
just like in our last segment how he said, how do we stop all this ridiculous music from like perpetuating in our culture? You stop listening. You have to stop being
buying.
you have to stop
buying.
being a
It's
consumer.
back to the money,
I'm gonna be
remember?
honest.
You have to
Back
stop
the
being
money.
a
You have to stop
consumer.
being
I'm gonna be honest.
So what am I
You have to
supposed to do
cripple
with
their
my
pockets.
It's never gonna
Save
end.
it, invest it, buy some property, maybe some stocks.
Racism.
Be romantic.
Never gonna end racism alone.
Racism's never gonna
Romanticism,
end. Police, all that's never gonna end. Police
Police
look at us like we're things.
Police brutality
ever end at all?
Why will it?
slavery, you know what I'm
How
saying?
will
The
it?
first
Why
police
wouldn't it have
officer- I mean,
stopped
who
by
the police
now
gonna
if
be?
it was gonna stop?
So
Guaranteed,
policing
eventually. I mean,
itself,
our
you know
whole
what I'm saying,
point
you
is we
protect
have
life
to.
and property.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The first police officers, they're slave catchers.
So
They're protecting life and property. You are the property, you know what I'm saying? Like if something's stolen, I was a cop, and my job as a cop was to, when something's stolen, I gotta go retrieve that and I gotta go arrest the person who did it. So you can take that back, that same concept all the way back to the plantation, and you're practicing the same thing, because if we look at who makes up the prisons.
I mean, it's really just a system, though. It's a system built on like keeping black people like down. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like there probably will never be an end, but being unified is probably the best way to go with it. You know, like encouraging other people to get educated, like coming together as one, like not really looking at the enemy, but like being the example. Because at the end of the day, they're never going to stop doing what they're doing.
I think it's hard for us to unify as a people when we have.
And we don't even understand. Most of us don't even
I don't think that we even understand how many levels there actually is to racism and how many levels there are to, you know, minimizing or whatever it is. Police brutality, racism in general. I think there's just so many levels to it that we can't even fully comprehend.
The best way we can combat racism right now would be knowledge. We all got to ourselves, because they ain't gonna give it to us. We got to understand that racism is just like she said. There's levels to it. The reason why cops are beating down and shooting cats as black is because look at the way that we're being propagated online.
It's all about perception. So what do you guys feel about, like, just going off of propaganda? What images are perpetuated of black people? What do you think like the news in general plays? Like what part does the news play?
The biggest. Malcolm X. Go watch what Malcolm was talking about.
Exactly.
Go listen to what Malcolm said. And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why Malcolm wasn't taught in our school books, because he was giving it the real. You feel what I'm saying? And if hold up one second. If Malcolm's word got out. Because all Malcolm did was just tell you what it was. You know what I'm saying? If his word got out and he broke down racism and he broke down all this social injustice, then now we going to know, and now we going to come together and make a fixture of it. But it never really was. You got to go out, once again, you got to go out and do your own research and figure it out. And when you do, then you'll be empowered in the mind. And then we're going to finally come together and figure this out. And to me, it would start with the finances. It always goes back to the finances. If we want to really combat racism, we have to stop putting our money into these racist corporations. How many times did you hear Tommy Hilfiger don't like niggas? What's that bottle champagne company that don't like niggas? Somebody else. None of them do. You know what I'm saying? They all say it. So what we do is we cripple them. We cripple them the same way the guy at Dorky's. We're trying to cripple him now. He was on Cairo 7. Man, if the Black Lives Matter people want to come and do a rally at my arcade, that's fine with me. He didn't even know what Black Lives Matter was till the day he went out there and called them niggas. So, you know what I'm saying? You have to cripple their money. When you cripple their money, that's when you cripple their lifestyle. When you cripple their lifestyle, then you hurting.
What's sad though is that they're getting a young generation.
We're not unified enough as a people to be able to facilitate a movement like that, because they stratify us from one another. Even in our music, it's like this. I'm better. I'm this. I got more money than you, nigga. Like I'm gonna take your woman. Like we're killing each other.
No, but it's like the young generation.
I feel like they're at the top.
Keep going, man, because we're going something.
Oh, yeah. So just to transition, I feel like a good segue is in terms of looking at black names and the stigma that we get behind it. But like in terms of us, me compared to a white guy, my name is Marquise, obviously, compared to Ryan over here, we can have identical resumes, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, statistically proven, Ryan might get that job, you know what I'm saying? So how you guys feel about that?
That's not even racism. That's just the way it should be.
Wait, why?
That's not racism?
No, you're supposed to take care of your people. You're supposed to take care of your people. If I own a business, if you go down and apply at the Emerald Queen, they're gonna hire Native Americans first. Why not?
That's true.
They've been oppressed too, so why not?
The thing is, black people don't do that. Black people don't take into consideration.
But it's not because it's not like that naturally.
Hold on, we can't say we don't, because we did once. You know what I'm saying?
At one point in time we did.
Have y'all seen about?
We don't mind going to hair stores that are only owned by Asian people and going in there and buying $600 bundles. We don't mind that.
Let's go back to the 1920s.
Black people fund all other nations. Black people fund all other nations. Who's selling us our $1 Arizona iced teas in the hood?
And we're the biggest consumer of things that are not made by us. We are the biggest consumer of that.
What do we make?
Nothing.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? People make money off of
we make artistically, we make everything.
We make it, but we don't sell it.
We don't sell it.
We don't sell it.
That's
We make it. We are the
That's why they
talent,
made the
but we
patent.
don't sell it because you need the
They
knowledge.
sell us.
Because we did once though.
What did we sell?
The thing is, you heard of Black Wall Street, right? Mm-hmm. Like Black Wall Street would be the main Wall Street if it wasn't for the destruction of it. You know what I'm saying? The first bomb dropped in the United States was on Black Wall Street.
They don't talk about it.
So how do we bring that back is what we got to get to. Because we know, you know what I'm saying? We've done it. We've been there. Obviously, we built this entire civilization on this earth. Would it not be what it is if it wasn't for black people? So the question is, how do we return?
But just like,
because we are the most powerful entity.
But just like you started the segment with racism evolved. Racism is smart. Racism got.
But we're not doing that. As a people, we are not evolving.
But here's the thing, though.
It's almost impossible for us to get to that.
I think that as a people in the last 50 years, we have regressed.
I think
Absolutely.
so too.
Absolutely.
But I think a big part of it too is because we're not like unless we go out and inform ourselves and like have not like no one's gonna give it to us. When we're going through the public school system, no one's gonna tell us about Malcolm X and all these other things. No one's gonna tell us those things. No one's gonna tell us how to become black owned. We have to do it ourselves. And I don't know if like,
yeah, but I mean, a lot of people don't even have the familial structure to have that type of information to know that it's important because they've from slavery they've broken that institution down.
Is not.
It's non-existent.
It's not.
It's non-existent.
But on the contrary, though, although I did say that it will never end, it is we are empowering ourselves through right here. You know what I mean?
This is
by
what
us
we're
doing
to
this.
make changes.
You know what I'm saying?
This is us actively doing something.
So somebody right now in New Brunswick, New Jersey, when you guys drop this video, is going to be able to watch this, and that might spark their mind, and they might come up. So, and before that, we had what? Tupac. That was, you know what I mean? We had KRS. You know what I'm saying? But there wasn't too many people that was doing things like this that could spark the mind of somebody that looked like us.
There's a rapper.
That's the thing. That's the thing right there.
Rappers, but there's a quote that says, "I'm not going to be the spark that lights the flame, but I damn sure will inspire the spark that builds a flame."
Yeah, that was Tupac. Yep.
What's sad though is that they're getting the young kids. Like if you go back to Chicago, all of them killing themselves. They are happy right now. We're just knocking each other off left and right.
They don't even have to do the work. We do it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they do have to do work.
No, they're doing the work.
Black population.
Oh,
They do
God,
half of
the
it.
prison
And then
system
we
is a
killed
whole.
We kill that.
And we killed the other half.
Hours for that.
One at a time.
They're putting us in bad situations. Regardless, that's how it is. They're putting us in bad situations, and we're doing their job for them.
It's all about perception.
Right.
Like we perceive ourselves the way that they show us. We see like, oh, okay, I mean, this is what it means to be black. I mean, this is what I see. This is what I'm gonna keep doing.
It's changing a little bit.
I think so too, because there are people like us who are actively going out of their way to
Right.
change what it means to be black.
So
Like now, what does it mean to be black? Honestly,
Right.
like, I mean, it's not about rap because
That's a
everybody
good
else listens to
question.
rap
It's
too.
empowerment.
That's a good question.
Well, it's exposure. It's exposure.